Staying with Afghanistan, the shocking headlines just days ago read U.S. soldiers killed Afghan civilians and collected fingers as trophies. Now, an alleged kill team comprised of 12 American soldiers who face charges. 5 of them are actually charged with murdering 3 Afghan men. The 7 others accused of covering up the murders and assaulting a recruit who actually exposed the killings. Military Defense Attorney Major Eric Montalvo is representing one of these 5 soldiers, Adam Winfield, and Mr. Montalvo joins me today for more. Thank you so much for being here, first of all. I mean, your client is facing murder charges in one of the most serious accusations of war crimes in this conflict, in the war in Afghanistan. Talk about, representing him. Where is he now? Where is the case now?
Well, he's currently incarcerated in Washington. The case is in the stage of investigation. They haven't yet sent the charges to court. They're still trying to determine the veracity of the allegations, and there's an ongoing investigation. With regard to my client, I think the facts will bear out that he was not involved in murder, and we believe he'll be exonerated on that matter. So in the bigger context, we believe we have one client who may walk away from that particular allegation.
Now, apparently your client actually called his father and, explained what was going on to him, sort of complained about it, tried to air his grievances. Now, I guess we can ask the question of why he didn't just go to his senior commanders. We can answer that question probably and say he was fearing for his own life. But if his father called the military and said, hey, I just spoke to my son who's on the ground. This is what's happening. This is wrong. This needs to be dealt with. How did the military respond to that?
Well, the response that he got was, one, no return phone call. The second response he got was, we're not interested. If he wants to bring forward an allegation on the battlefield, go ahead and do that. If not, wait till he gets home and we'll deal with it then. And, that's quite outrageous. And it could have, if they had done simple things at that time, they could have averted 2 of the alleged murders that were being charged right now.
Is that protocol, though? I mean, they get this kind of message and they say, sorry, we can't do anything about it?
No, this is a complete and utter failure of the system. This is a complete, utter failure of leadership. And, somebody needs to take a long, hard look at this entire process and figure out what went wrong here.
So Sergeant Gibbs, who I believe was sort of the kingpin in all of this, is he just a bad seed, or are U.S. troops going to sort of feel the repercussions of this for weeks, months, maybe years to come, considering that this is a good recruitment issue for the Taliban? This is a PR game for them that
Right.
they can win, saying, look what these troops are doing to our people.
Well, the damage is already done with regard to that. I mean, we can't take it back. What happened has happened. I believe Gibbs to be a Manson-esque, inspiring leader. He led people who had a predisposition to do bad things into a place that they couldn't turn back from. He contaminated an entire platoon. The problem is how did people like this get into position that they are, and where's the leadership? Where's the officer in charge? Where is the command? Where is the daily inspections? How were they accounting for rounds? I mean, there's so many little questions that, if you look on this on a day-to-day basis, how is it that these individuals are running around the countryside doing whatever they want to do, including murder, and nobody has an accountability for that?
Have you been able to answer any of those questions?
Well, it's a deficiency in the entire system. I mean, you have a complete and utter total breakdown of chain of command, of reporting requirements on every level, and that's how this thing came about.
I ask that because Army investigators say Morlock, one of the accused, has admitted his involvement in the killings and gave all these details, including Gibbs' role. But his lawyer, Michael Waddington, he wants to have that confession suppressed, and he's saying, look, my client was taking drugs, painkillers, and there was a cocktail of different pills there. I mean, what is going on? I mean, do you sort of, A, buy that, and B, is it a case where these guys are so stressed out that it's either A, causing them to do things like this, or B, coming out and saying, I'm guilty, these people are guilty, and not even understanding the implications of this, how serious this is?
Right. You have an institutional issue. We've been at war for a long time, and we need to take a long, hard look at the mental health of all of our soldiers. At the case level, if you look at what Mr. Waddington is saying, he's not saying what, Morlock said was true. He's just saying that the mechanism in which the information was arrived at was deficient. So that's a due process issue. You know, he should have been assessed to determine whether or not he was under the influence of drugs and whether or not that confession may come in. So it's not necessarily the veracity of what he's saying. It's really how it was attained, you know, so whether that will be suppressed at court.
Is that point going to be taken into consideration? What do you think?
Well, I mean, he'll make the motion, the court will consider it, and, you know, I guess the outcome will be driven, you know, by that. But there's so much other corroboration out there that his confession alone, whether it's in or out, is not going to make, I think, a big difference, because their involvement has a footprint, a fingerprint on a lot of different things. I mean, the body parts, the pictures, the investigation. I mean, you know, and they weren't doing this alone. This wasn't in isolation or in a vacuum. There are a number of different individuals who observed what was going on, and they're going to come forward and testify against each other.
You know, I mentioned this earlier, but if we look at this in a broader context about what this means for U.S. efforts over there, you know, General Petraeus recently said that the United States is making great strides. Again, is it that one sour apple? Is it that one bad seed that could just, you know, take everyone down with him?
Well, what's disheartening is the Army in particular has had previous experience in bad apples getting away with bad things. And so you would think that by this time the lessons would have been learned, the systems would be put in place to harbor against this, and it would not reoccur. I mean, you have Abu Ghraib, you have, you know, various shootings. I mean, why is this happening again? So I think that this, while the case is disturbing and horrific, and it may be just associated with this composite set of people, you know, the bigger question is, where is the Army on this? Why didn't they avert 2 additional murders? Why didn't they step in? Where's the mental health screening? You know, why are these people running around a battlefield, you know, 20 years old and able to do the things that they're doing without any adult supervision?
Absolutely, a lot of questions there, and we certainly appreciate your analysis. Major Eric Montalvo, thanks so much.
Yes,